David never knew that one push would destroy everything he cared about. The tall, dark-skinned 16-year-old flexed his muscles as he kicked the football. His black hair was cut short and sweat dripped down his face. He was the biggest kid in the neighborhood, and he loved it. "Wow, David, you're so strong!" shouted Mike, a skinny white boy with red hair and freckles all over his pale face. "Yeah, man, nobody can beat you," said Tom, a short Hispanic boy with brown skin and curly black hair. David smiled big. His white teeth shined in the evening sun. "Watch this, guys." He picked up the football with his large hands. His arms were thick with muscle. He threw the ball so far, it almost left the field. "Did you see that?" David laughed. "I'm the strongest kid here. Nobody can mess with me." His friends clapped and cheered. David felt amazing. This was his favorite feeling, being the king of the neighborhood. But then everything changed. A small boy walked onto the field. It was Alex, the special needs kid from down the street. Alex was only 10 years old and very short for his age. His pale skin was covered in dirt and his blonde hair stuck up in all directions. His blue eyes looked confused like they always did. "Hi, David," Alex said with a big smile. His voice sounded different from other kids. "Can I play football too?" David's good feeling disappeared fast. His friends stopped cheering and stared. "No way, Alex," David said. His voice got cold. "This field is for big kids only. Go home." Alex's smile faded. "But my mom said I could play here. She said the field belongs to everyone." "I don't care what your mom said," David replied. He stepped closer to Alex. David was so much taller that Alex had to look way up to see his face. "This is my field now. Leave." Mike giggled nervously. "Yeah, Alex, you're too little to play with us." "And too slow," Tom added, but his voice sounded unsure. Alex looked sad, but he didn't move. "The field is for everyone, David. That's what my dad told me too." David felt his face get hot with anger. How dare this little kid argue with him in front of his friends? He had to show everyone who was boss. "Listen here, Alex," David said, moving even closer. His shadow covered the small boy. "I'm telling you one more time. Get out of here, now." "But I just want to play," Alex whispered. His voice was shaking now. "I love football too." "Are you stupid or something?" David yelled. "I said leave." Alex took a step back, his eyes filled with tears. "This isn't your field, David. My mom pays taxes just like your mom. That means I can play here too." David's hands turned into fists. Nobody talked back to him. Nobody. Especially not some weird little kid who couldn't even talk right. "You think you're smart?" David asked. His voice was dangerous now. Tom stepped forward. "David, maybe we should just—" "Shut up, Tom," David snapped. "This little freak needs to learn his place." Alex was crying now, but he still wouldn't move. "I'm not a freak. I'm just different." "Yeah, well, different doesn't belong here," David said. He looked at his friends. They were watching him, waiting to see what he would do. He couldn't look weak in front of them. He was David, the strong one, the tough one, the one everyone feared. "You want to play so bad?" David asked Alex. "Fine, let's play." "David, don't," Mike started to say, but it was too late. David pushed Alex with both hands, hard, as hard as he could. Alex was so small and light that the push sent him flying backward. His thin arms moved around wildly as he tried to catch himself, but he couldn't. He fell fast and hit the ground hard. There was a sharp gray stone sticking up from the dirt right behind where Alex fell. Crack! The sounds of Alex's head hitting the stone was loud and terrible. "Oh God," Tom whispered. For a moment, nobody moved. Alex lay on the ground like a broken doll. His eyes were closed. He wasn't making any noise. Then the blood came. Red blood poured out of a deep cut on the back of Alex's blonde head. It soaked into his hair and dripped onto the grass. There was so much blood. "Help!" someone screamed. David thought it might have been him. Alex's eyes opened. They looked confused and scared. He started to cry, but his crying was weak and soft. "What did you do?" Mike yelled at David. "What did you do?" Other kids came running from all over the field. When they saw Alex lying in a pool of blood, they started screaming too. "Call 911!" a girl with brown skin and black braids shouted. "Get his parents!" yelled a white boy with glasses. David just stood there. His whole body was shaking. He couldn't move. He couldn't think. All he could see was Alex's blood on the grass. "I didn't mean to," he whispered, but nobody was listening. A teenage girl with her phone was talking fast. "Yes, we need an ambulance. A little boy hit his head on a rock. There's blood everywhere." The sirens came quickly. The ambulance pulled onto the field with red lights flashing. 2 paramedics, a tall black woman and a short white man, jumped out with their equipment. "Everyone back," the woman shouted. "Give us room." They kneeled next to Alex. The woman put a white bandage against his bleeding head while the man checked his pulse. "We need to get him to the hospital right now," the man said. They put Alex on a stretcher. He looked so tiny and pale. His blonde hair was dark with blood now. As they carried Alex to the ambulance, David stood there like a statue. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. His legs felt like water. All the kids stared at him. Nobody called him strong anymore. Nobody looked up to him. They looked at him like he was a monster. Mike and Tom backed away from him like he had a disease. "David," Tom said quietly, his brown eyes full of fear. "What have you done?" David couldn't answer. He watched the ambulance drive away with its sirens screaming. Alex was inside, maybe dying, and it was all his fault. The football field was empty now. Everyone had gone home or followed the ambulance to the hospital. David stood alone in the growing darkness. His phone buzzed. It was a text from his mom. "Dinner's ready. Come home." But David knew he could never go home again. Not after this. Not after what he had done to Alex. He looked at the stone where Alex had hit his head. There was still blood on it. David fell to his knees and threw up in the grass. Then he started to cry like a baby, knowing that his life was over. David never expected that the small cut would change his life forever. He sat in the hospital waiting room with his hands shaking. His dark skin was pale with fear. The white plastic chair felt cold under him. His mom, a short black woman with worried eyes, held his hand tight. "It was just an accident, Mom. Alex will be fine. It's just a small cut." But something felt wrong. Very wrong. The doctors and nurses were moving too fast. They weren't acting like it was just a small cut. David watched through the glass doors as 3 doctors in white coats rushed around Alex's bed. "Why are there so many doctors?" his mom asked the nurse. The nurse was a tall white woman with gray hair. She looked nervous. "The boy has a serious head injury. We're doing everything we can." David's heart started beating faster. "Serious? But it was just a push. Just one push. Mom, I didn't mean to hurt him that bad. His voice cracked like a little kid's. His mom squeezed his hand. I know, baby. I know. But then strange things started happening. First, the nurses began treating Alex differently. David watched through the glass doors as they brought in special machines, expensive-looking machines. More nurses came, then more doctors. Why is everyone making such a big deal? His mom didn't answer. She was staring at the parking lot outside. Expensive cars were pulling up. Really expensive cars. A black Mercedes, a silver BMW, a white Rolls Royce that looked like it cost more than David's house. Mom, look at those cars, David said. Who drives cars like that to a hospital? Men in dark suits got out of the cars. They were all white men with serious faces and expensive watches. They walked into the hospital like they owned it. David had never seen men like this before. They looked like they were from movies about rich people. Excuse me, one of the suit men said to the nurse. We're here about Alex Morrison. Morrison. David had never heard Alex's last name before. Of course, sir, the nurse said. She was acting different now, more polite, more scared. Right this way. More cars arrived. A black limousine longer than a school bus pulled up outside. David's mouth fell open. Mom, whose limo was that? He whispered. His mom's face went white. I don't know, David, but I'm getting a bad feeling. The hospital started filling up with people in expensive clothes. Women with diamond jewelry, men with gold watches. They all looked rich, really rich. David heard nurses whispering in the hallway. His father is coming. One nurse said to another, the billionaire? Yes. Mr. Morrison himself. David felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. Billionaire? Alex's father was a billionaire? Mom, did you hear that? David asked. His voice was so quiet he could barely hear himself. His mom nodded. Her hands were shaking now too. David, baby, she said, what exactly did you do to that boy? I just pushed him, Mom. I swear. I didn't know he was rich, his mom finished. Very, very rich. The hospital got quieter. Everyone was waiting for something or someone. Then he arrived. Alex's father walks through the hospital doors like a king. He was a tall white man with silver hair and eyes as cold as ice. His black suit probably cost more than David's family made in a year. 3 bodyguards walked behind him, big men with muscles and earpieces. Everyone in the hospital stopped talking. Even the doctors stood straighter. Where is my son? Alex's father asked. His voice was calm, but dangerous. This way, Mr. Morrison, a doctor said quickly. We're taking excellent care of him. David watched as Alex's father walked past the waiting room. For just a moment, their eyes met through the glass. The man's eyes were full of ice-cold anger. David felt his whole body go cold. This wasn't just any angry parent. This was a man who could destroy people, a man with more money than David could imagine, a man whose 10-year-old special needs son was lying in a hospital bed with his head bleeding. Because of David. Mom, David whispered, I think I'm in big trouble. His mom pulled him close. We both are, baby. We both are. Through the window, David could see more expensive cars arriving. Police cars, too. News vans with big cameras. David had pushed the wrong kid. The very wrong kid. and now the most powerful man in the city knew exactly who David was. The nightmare was just beginning. David never thought the black cars would come for him so soon. It was Tuesday morning. David sat at his kitchen table staring at his cereal. He hadn't eaten anything real in 2 days. His stomach felt sick all the time now. His dark skin looked gray from no sleep. His mom, wearing her old pink robab, poured coffee with shaky hands. His dad, a big black man who worked construction, sat reading the newspaper. But David could tell he wasn't really reading. His brown eyes kept looking at David with worry. "Maybe they forgot about me," David whispered. "Maybe Alex is better now." His parents didn't answer. They knew better. Then they heard the cars. Deep, expensive engine sounds coming down their street. David's dad looked out the window and his face went white. "They're here," he said quietly. 3 black Mercedes pulled up in front of their small house. The cars looked huge next to their old red truck in the driveway. Men in dark suits got out. 6 of them. They were all white men with serious faces and sunglasses. They looked like FBI agents for movies. "Oh God," David's mom whispered. "What do we do?" David ran to his bedroom window and peeked out. The men were walking to their front door. One of them had a folder in his hand. Another one talked into a small phone. Knock, knock, knock. The knocking was loud and official, not like when friends came over. "David Johnson," a deep voice called from outside. "We need to speak with you." David's legs felt like water. He couldn't move. His dad went to the door. He asked through the closed door, "Who are you?" "We work for Mr. Morrison. His son Alex was hurt by your boy. Mr. Morrison wants to see David now." David's mom started crying. "My baby! They're going to take my baby!" "We can do this easy or hard, but David is coming with us either way." David walked out of his room like he was walking to his own funeral. His parents hugged him tight. "Whatever happens," his mom whispered in his ear, "remember we love you." David opened the front door. The men in suits looked down at him like he was a bug. "David Johnson?" the tallest man asked. He had gray hair and mean blue eyes. "Yes, sir," David said. His voice sounded like a scared little kid. "You're coming with us. Mr. Morrison wants to meet you." They put David in the back seat of the middle car. The leather seats were cold and expensive. David had never been in a car this nice before. The ride took 20 minutes, but it felt like 20 hours. David stared out the window at his neighborhood getting smaller and smaller behind them. They drove to the rich part of town. Big houses with gates and gardens, swimming pools and tennis courts. David had never seen houses this big except on TV. Finally, they stopped at a mansion. It was bigger than David's whole apartment building. White columns, huge windows, a fountain in the front yard. "Get out," the man said. Inside the house was like a palace. Marble floors, crystal lights hanging from the ceiling, paintings that looked like they belonged in museums. David's dirty sneakers squeaked on the perfect floor. They led him to a huge room with dark wood walls, books everywhere, a fireplace big enough to stand in, and behind a massive desk sat Alex's father. Mr. Morrison looked up from some papers. His silver hair was perfect. His suit probably cost more than David's dad made in 6 months. His ice-cold eyes stared at David like he was looking at garbage. "So," Mr. Morrison said. His voice was quiet but dangerous. "You're the boy who nearly killed my son." David's knees gave out. He dropped to the floor and started crying. "Please, sir, I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt Alex. I swear I didn't mean it. Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt my family." Tears and snot ran down David's face. He didn't care how he looked. He was too scared to care. "I'll do anything," David cried. "Anything. Just please forgive me. It will never happen again. Never. I promise." The whole room went silent. The men in suits stood like statues. Mr. Morrison stared down at David with those cold eyes. David waited and waited. His heart beat so loud he thought everyone could hear it. Finally, Mr. Morrison spoke. "You're right, David," he said slowly. "It will never happen again. Because you're going to learn what happens when someone hurts my family." He pressed a button on his desk. "Bring it in." Two men walked into the room carrying something that made David's blood turn to ice. Papers. Lots of papers. Legal papers. "Your family will lose their house," Mr. Morrison said calmly. "Your father will lose his job. Your mother will lose hers too. You'll all be homeless within 30 days. David stopped breathing. "What?" "I own the company your father works for. I own the building where your mother works. I own the bank that holds your house loan. With one phone call, I can destroy everything your family has." David felt like the world was spinning. "Please, no. My parents didn't do anything wrong. It was just me. Punished just me." Mr. Morrison smiled, but it wasn't a nice smile. It was cold and cruel. "Oh, David," he said, "I am punishing just you. You see, destroying your family will hurt you more than anything I could do to your body." David crawled forward on his knees. "Please, sir, please. We'll pay you back somehow. We'll work for free. We'll do anything." "You can't pay me back, David. My son may never be the same. The doctors say he might have brain damage. Do you know what that means?" David shook his head, still crying. "It means Alex might never be able to think right again. Because of you. Because of your anger and pride." Mr. Morrison stood up. He was tall and scary, like a king of darkness. "So here's your punishment, David. You'll watch your family lose everything. You'll live on the streets. You'll know that every day of hunger and cold is because of what you did to my special little boy." He walked around the desk and stood over David. "And if I ever see you near my son again," he said quietly, "I won't just destroy your family's life. I'll destroy their lives. Permanently. Do you understand me?" David nodded, too scared to speak. "Good. Take him home. He has 30 days to enjoy his house before we take it away." As the men dragged David out of the mansion, he could hear Mr. Morrison making phone calls. "Yes, fire Johnson immediately. Yes, foreclose on the house. No, I don't care about their situation." David's life was over. His family's life was over. And it was all his fault. The black cars drove him back to his neighborhood, where his parents waited with fear in their eyes. Soon, they would lose everything. And David would have to watch it all happen, knowing that one angry push had destroyed everyone he loved.